So today we're going to start dividing decimals, and it's not anything that you haven't done before. We're just reminding ourselves, maybe from 5th and 6th grade, how to divide decimals, because we will be converting decimals later this week to fractions and converting fractions to decimals, and we need to talk about repeating and terminating decimals, but first we need to remember how to divide decimals to begin with. So that's what we're going to do today, and you have 2 assignments that are due today. It's like 12 problems between the 2 assignments. There was only 6 on each sheet, so you have 2 worksheets to do today in Kami, and then you will turn those into Schoology. So let's start with 0.179 divided by 0.010. And we see that we are dividing a decimal by a decimal. So the first thing we need to do is move our decimal all the way to the right. So we go 1, 2, 3 places to the right. And if we do that on the outside, we also have to do that on the inside. 1, 2, 3. So I have moved my decimal, and that means my decimal is also going to go up here. Now I'm left with a whole number of 10, and I need to divide it into 179. So 10 will go into 17 one time. So 1 times 10 is 10. We subtract and we get 7. We're going to bring this 9 down. 10 will go into 79 7 times. So 7 times 10 is 70. We subtract and we get 9. Now, I don't have any more numbers up here, but I know that this 0 doesn't change my number because I have my decimal here. It still says 179 because 179.0 is still 179. So I'm just going to add that 0 there, and I'm going to bring it all the way down. And now we have 90. So 10 will go into 90 9 times. 9 times 10 is 90. And we get 0, so I know I'm finished with this problem. And my answer is positive 17.9, or we could also say that as positive 17 and 9/10. Let's try another one. This time let's try 8.5 divided by 0.5. And let's make this a negative 0.5. So the first thing I need to do is I need to move my decimal. So I'm going to move the outside 1 time, and that leaves me with a whole number of negative 5. And if I move that one, I also have to move this one 1 time. So I'm moving that decimal here, and that means that I'm also going to go ahead and put it up here. So now I'm left with 5. 5 will go into 8 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5. I subtract and I get 3. And I'm just going to bring this 5 straight down. 5 will go into 35 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. And I subtract and I get 0. So my answer here is actually a whole number of 17. Now I need to go back and check my signs. I have a negative and a positive, so that means my answer will be negative 17. That's my answer. Okay, let's try this one. What if we have negative 90 divided by 0.03? This time I already have a whole number, and I'm dividing by a decimal. So we first have to move the decimal 1, 2 to the outside. So now I have the whole number of 3, and it's positive. Now, what do I do under here? Well, 90 is a whole number. Your decimal would be here. And we still need to move our decimal 2 places. So this would be a 0 and put your decimal here. Go ahead and bring it to the top of your division bar. So now 3 will go into 9 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. We subtract and we get 0. 3 will go into 0 times. So we could keep going with this, but since these are all zeros, your answer is actually going to be 3,000. But don't forget to come back. This is positive, this is negative, and when we divide, if they're different, that means the answer is negative. So your answer here is actually negative 3,000. Okay, let's try another one. This time, let's try 0.016 divided by 0.04. And let's make these both negative. First thing we're going to do is we are going to move our decimal 1, 2. So now we're left with negative 4. 1, 2. So now our decimal goes here. So we go ahead and bring it straight up to the top. Okay, now we can divide like normal. 4 will go into 16 4 times. And I'm not going to put it here because 4 won't go into 1. It goes into 16. So I'm going to put my 4 here. 4 times 4 is 16. I subtract and I get 0. So my answer, if I put a 0 here, would be 0.4. And I go back and I check my signs. They're both negative. So when you divide a negative by a negative, you get a positive answer. So it's actually positive 0.4 or positive 4/10 would be another way to say that. Okay, I'm going to get a different piece of paper because my next one's going to take a little longer. Let's try 62.9 divided by 0.001. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3. So my decimal's now here. And I'm going to move this one 1, 2, 3. So my decimal is now here. I'm going to put it up here. And I need to fill in here with zeros. So now this is 1. We're dividing by 1, so this should be easy. 1 will go into 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6. We subtract. We get 0, and we bring down our 2. 1 will go into 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. We subtract, and we get 0, and we bring our 9 down. 1 will go into 9 times. 9 times 1 is 9. Subtract and get 0, and we bring our 0 down. 1 will go into 0 times. We subtract and we get 0, and we bring our next 0 down. And 1 will go into 0 times. So our answer here is positive 62,900. Okay, let me get another sheet because this one's going to take a lot longer. So I wanted to show you they don't always end pretty. So what if we have 1.84 divided by 0.006? First, I would move my decimal 1, 2, 3. So now I have a whole number of 6. And I have to move this one 3, 2. 1, 2, 3. So now here's my decimal. I fill in this empty space with a 0, and I put my decimal on top. Now, 6 won't go into 1, but it'll go into 18. So 6 will go into 18 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. I subtract. I get 0, so I bring down my 4. 6 won't go into 4, so that's 0. 0 times 6 is 0. Subtract, and I get 4. And I bring down my 0. 6 will go into 40. 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. I subtract, and I get 4. Now, I don't have a 0 to bring down, but I need to put 1 there because I need to keep bringing it down, because this is not a, oh, I've got a remainder 4, because we're doing decimals. We can keep going and going and going to infinity and beyond. We can go with decimals. So I bring that 0 down, and now I have 6 again. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract, and you get 4 again. Add another 0. You bring it down again. It's the same number again, so 6 again. 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract, and you get 4 again. Add 0 again. Bring it down. Do you see where this is going? We're just going to keep going and going and going and going and going, and it's still going to be 6. So the way we notate that is we put a little line up here that tells us that we're just going to keep going, and it's going to be 40 every time we do it. It's just going to keep being 6 over and over and over again. So that tells us that this 6, it'll be 6 again, 6 again, 6 again, 6 again. That little line means that it's repeating. And I go back and I check my signs. They're both positive. So my answer is positive 306 and 66 hundredths repeating. Okay, I don't think that's anything you haven't seen. You probably haven't seen it in a while, but you should have seen it last year and the year before. So I have you 2 assignments today where you can work on dividing with decimals, and then tomorrow you'll practice on Khan Academy, and then the next day we'll work on repeating and terminating decimals and what does that mean. All right, so have a great day. Bye-bye.